Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Leighton's Loft. How are you today, Lou?
I'm doing very well. J5's here with us just
Hello.
to start the show, right?
What's up, J5?
Hello, everybody. I'm about to get kicked out, so.
Yeah, you're about to get kicked off. Talk to you in a bit. All right, welcome to Leighton's Loft.
Well, I'd like to start off with let's go Rutgers. Tonight, they got the play-in game, 9-10 p.m. I have bedtime lacrosse, so I'll be watching afterwards. But the NCAA tournament's great. I'm glad that it's going to be happening. It's exciting. We have freebies as well as, bonuses surrounding the tournament as far as Vintage Breaks is concerned. Today's show, of course, is sponsored by Just Collect, Vintage Breaks, and Otia Sports. Thank you for joining us. How many of you out there are March Madness excited for not only today, tomorrow, but the next few weeks? How about you, Lou? Where do you stand?
You know I'm not a hoops guy,
I know.
but the March Madness tournament is something special. It's one of those crown jewel sports events in the United States. You got to watch these kids play, and it gets more exciting. These playing games are great because these are guys who are traveling and getting a chance for the NCAA tournament, which is a dream for a lot of these schools. A lot of these kids went to their school not necessarily thinking they were going to get into an NCAA tournament. So they're playing, they're just playing for the passion of it. And it's just always fun.
I'm super excited for Rutgers. I also like, there's always going to be drama that unfolds that you never predicted, generally. Hey, what's going on, Greg? What's up in Colorado? Oh, you're waiting for Russell Wilson to become official.
Yeah,
I'm sure you are.
That's a very exciting time for them out there.
Speaking of Russell Wilson, what'd you think of the move?
I think Denver did very well. It's one of those go for it moves. I love it. That's a good contending team. Boy, the AFC is loaded right now. The AFC is just absolutely loaded.
Specifically the West.
Yep. But I mean, there's plenty of great quarterbacks, and you have to wonder if Brady decided to come back because all he's got in between him and the Super Bowl next year is Aaron Rodgers, and that's about it. The Rams, of course, but.
Well, you brought it up. So how do you feel, and afternoon, Todd? How does your fellow New Englanders feel about Brady coming back?
We're sick of him, basically, at this point.
Well, I could imagine. I heard something. I think it was from Greeny on ESPN Radio. And hey, afternoon, Donald. I tend to think that if you're in the thick of it, in the mix of it, you feel a little bit differently because you have emotion, whether it be you're a casual fan, a serious fan. However, and I don't always agree with the way Greeny puts it, but I like this. He said effectively, listen, we've all changed our minds in our lives about major things, minor things, everything in between. He just happens to be in the public eye. Maybe his timing could have been better, with the March Madness and taking away from kids and this and that. But at the end of the day, I always say this, he might be the closest thing to not human to play football ever, but he still is human. And so, believe me, you know how I feel about him as a Jet fan. And, clearly it's not going to be a problem for the Jets because they ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem for Tom Brady or vice versa. But I would say that it brings drama back to the NFL, which even though if he was gone, the NFL, of course, would have graduated, this year and they would have had their new drama. I don't believe he's hurting the game.
No.
And so it's just more of I think from everything I can, hear and surmise that it's just really like an emotional thing, how it hits you.
Depends on what you believe to be true. In other words, if this were a Brett Favre situation where Brett Favre has a few beers and decides he's going to retire, and then a couple weeks later he has a few beers and decides he's not going to retire, that's Brett Favre. That's fine. Brady's been talking about retirement for, 10 years now. This is a highly considered opinion. He's a highly calculated person. I don't believe he just on a whim retired and then 40 days later decided he wasn't. I believe there was other stuff going on. And so that would make the retirement announcement very manipulative to me and more attention seeking. I don't think this is a whim thing. I don't think he quote unquote retired for the family. And I don't think he unretired based on a whim either. the story that they're talking about up here, which I believe to be true, is that he was going to be brought into the management group of the Dolphins along with Sean Payton. And that went south when the lawsuit against the NFL came and against the Dolphins came. That makes more sense to me, or that he was trying to manipulate his way out of Tampa. And,
Sure.
Which, by the way, I don't have a problem with that with a player. That's fine. If that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do. But don't say you're retiring. Just say, I want out of Tampa. And then we can all go along with that.
I think it's a valid point. Like I said, I think that the drama aside, I think he's going to have an impact on the game, and I think you're right. He knows there's one less layer in the NFC.
No, I think he's going to be great. How about this story? The story was just but Kevin talks about it. The football from Brady's last game, the last touchdown pass he's thrown.
Oh, my God.
This is hours before he comes out of retirement. It's not like he bought it 2 or 3 weeks ago.
No,
and he came out. This is hours.
To me, and my buddy Darren Ravel, who I just saw the other day, reported on it for Action Network. It's a really big deal, and I think that, of course, just talking about that ball, there's a lot of money at stake, but I do think you're going to see a change with auction houses, especially, with like last ball kinds of things. And it's not someone who's either been, out of the game for a long time or just gone from the world for a long time. You're probably going to see some sort of asterisk or disclaimer as to this is the last game at the moment. But, as we can see, we'll call it the Tom Brady rule, right? It's the tuck rule. It'll be the new Tom Brady rule in our hobby.
But because it was so late in the process, I mean, all the rumors of his return were circulating anyway. This wasn't a lot of unknown. This wasn't completely unknown and out of the blue that Brady was coming back. Everyone was speculating it for a couple of weeks before that.
They were. I didn't want to believe it until it came true, Lou. So that's kind of why I wasn't, really on top of it. But at the end of the day, it's good for the game. It's good for the hobby. I do want to hear in the comments, who's your March Madness pick to win it all, but not the chalk. Don't give me the 1 seeds.
Yeah. Right.
Let me know or maybe not even win it all, Lou. Give me some exciting teams that you think could make the Final Four.
Yeah.
Non-chalk. I'm going to grab a couple of cards I wanted to show off. I'll be right back.
Yeah, in your comments, who's the best bet? Not necessarily chalk, but who do you like as a relative long shot in the March tournament? Give us some bets of futures that we can pick up for some of these guys, some of these teams in the tournament, because, listen, we can play chalk all day long, but we're not going to make any money that way. So some of the bets that you think are a little bit of a long shot that and if you have the odds, by the way, I'll put them up there. I'd love to get the odds on top of that. So last night's tournament, I'm not a big tournament guy in terms of keeping track of it. So you guys are going to have to help me out. I don't know what Leighton's doing there, but
sorry, I was getting some cards, Lou.
Yep. In the comments, just give us your team, and not the chalk team that you could. It doesn't even have to be the team that you think is going to win. The team that you think is a really good bet going in that can make you some money. Maybe a team that's kind of a long shot, but not totally out of the question. Greg says Colorado State. Well, he's from Colorado, right? So
that would make sense. I wanted to talk about some Babe Ruth cards today. 1921. So Todd's not a Hoops fan. Cheers for Gonzaga and UConn. Well, I'll clearly be cheering for Rutgers today.
Yep.
I'm excited. Hopefully get a bunch of work done early so that I can hang out later on with Kraz. There's a new movie on Disney called Red, where apparently there's kids in the movie that are like the focus and they have diabetes, and someone recommended it to me. So we're going to watch it together. And, I think he's interested to see how it's going to be. So that should be cool. And then, of course, the big tip-off later. I wanted to talk about the Mint in just a few minutes. However, I wanted to show off the trio of 1921 exhibit Babe Ruths I own for 2 reasons. One, because it's kind of funny how I have this rainbow I've been building, but it was by accident. You'll see what I mean in a minute.
Okay.
But 2, I would trade them all or sell them all to get a better example, but prices have been going crazy. So I'm going to start from the lowest grade up. It's not high grade examples, but this first 21 exhibit roof you've actually seen before. So for those that don't know, gang, 1921 exhibits are the first year they ever produced baseball exhibit cards by the Exhibit Supply Company in Chicago. Lou, these cards were generally sold through penny vending machines. However, at some point later on in the late 40s and 50s, they started to be issued in cello packs of about 5 cards for, I believe, 10 cents. But these kinds of cards were generally issued by a penny at a time through vending machines.
Explain the letter grade to me.
So it's authentic. And the reason is because it won't grade numerical because there's a lot of problems with this card.
Sure. All right. Yep.
It's literally almost sawed in half. It's taped on the back. Like Babe suffered a gouge to the head. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of issues. But to be fair, it's what made it viable for me. And considering where the market's moved now, it was a wise buy and I'll be able to profit off of it, but I hope to parlay it into a higher grade. And that's the worst example that I have of a 21 early out. Duke, that's a great question too.
Yeah.
Who's your highly ranked teams that are going to be out early? Duke's always out early.
I don't know if Tom's betting because it's his dentist's alma mater, but hey, whatever works, right?
We don't judge. All right. So next up, and I might reslab it, but I feel there's no rush because Beckett, meaning I might get a PSA or SGC, but it doesn't matter. It's a low grade 21 exhibit roof. It's the grade of 1, but this is what's interesting, Lou. Take a look at it. I don't know how well everyone can see this on screen. Even though it's only a 1 versus authentic, this 1 has a much greater eye appeal than the authentic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big difference.
Big difference.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you probably can't see the extensive creasing, but there is. You know, obviously I'm dealing with the overhead light at home. And then the back, there's slight like paper loss, but it's nothing horrendous, not like the authentic.
Right. I hate to hit you out of the blue with this, but what's the highest graded example that we know of?
I believe, and it's not out of the blue, I don't think there's an 8. There's definitely a 6. I bet you it's a 7. Mm-hmm. We're going to post about it on the Loft, Lou, later on. I'll drop you a text.
Oh, excellent.
So that way we can include that info into today's replay of the Loft. So the next example I have, and the last example, and I think I told the story, I used to have a 4, but I sold it years ago in kind of like an eBay cleanup. So this is a grade of 1.5. However, the eye appeal, it's what's so interesting, Lou. We've only gone up a half grade each time. In other words, authentic, 1. Yep. Now I have a 1.5. And this 1.5 truly does look better than the 1.
Oh God, yeah, significantly better.
Yeah, it doesn't really have creasing. Nothing. I mean, it has rounded corners, but other than that, on the front, it's pretty clean. It does have pencil on the back, which also attributes to the grade of 1.5. But you can see what's amazing, Lou, that even though these grades are separated by effectively a half grade apart, the eye appeal can range widely.
Can you hold both up, the 1 and the 1.5?
Sure. I don't know how well you'll be able to see them together.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. I wanted to compare them because the contrast and the clarity of the 1.5 is much different.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
It's just better.
That was my first impression.
It's dark. It's darker.
Yes. And there's less discoloration on the 1.5.
Yeah, and the authentic is just a hot mess. But I would parlay these all, Lou, into a higher grade. So that's part of the reason why I did it today. It was like a PSA. It was like a public service announcement. I'm not only having content, but I'm letting people know that we're flashing the bat signal.
Okay, who's got a higher level example of this card that we can get to?
I want 2 or higher. I prefer 4, but you see what I got to work with. If you're looking for 1 back, I can spare. If I have to liquidate, I can. Or if you just want to tease me and torment me, you can text me or email me. Email me Leighton at Just Collect and let me know about your 21 exhibit roof. And maybe I'll bust out some interesting stuff to try to get it from you.
Yeah, they can just come with, you can't have this card, but here it is.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Mint Collective while we have a couple minutes here on today's episode of Leighton's Loft. Very grateful and humbled to be asked to be part of the event. There's an incredible amount of leadership and innovative thinkers that are going to be there. And I'm just really appreciative to be part of, this group of folks that are not only going, but going to be speaking on a panel or two.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is they're talking about anything and everything from vintage to breaking to shop owners to AI, artificial intelligence having to do with grading. I really believe that there's going to be an incredible amount of content. So, I know they sell tickets to this. Like, there's a super ticket, a VIP, which comes with a lot of other stuff. But if you just want to go to Vegas, which, let's be honest, who doesn't want to go to Vegas?
Right.
If you just want to go to Vegas, you can go to the card show for like $15, Lou, and there's going to be some high-end cards as well as people at the convention. Presented by the Mint.
I understand completely. I'm with you.
It's going to be a really great event. And if you can make it out there, please let me know. I'd love to meet up for a coffee, a drink, a meal. I'll be there from, I believe, Thursday until that Sunday.
That marketplace tickets from $15. How can you beat that?
That's what I mean. So, because people saw, and I agree with the Mint. I talked to my buddy David from there. So people are seeing like the $500 and the $1,000 VIP ticket. And I understand how that's kind of scary. And you're like, it's just for rich people. No, they're really doing it for all different sorts of. If it's a collector, if it's a dealer, if it's an investor. One of the reasons why I like that they're selling these VIP tickets is because let's say you're actually someone who's very passionate about the space, but you're not able to rationalize going to a convention because it's just cards. Well, there's going to be a lot more than just cards at this, gathering and in this conference. There's going to be talks. There's going to be content produced that's going to be incredible and original. You're going to have access to anyone and everyone from Peyton Manning to Dana White to Ken Golden to other leaders of auction houses. It'd be very interesting.
Signature panel discussions.
Yeah.
And all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, I believe Josh Luber is going to be there. I heard there's a party at Hakkasan, which is a club. I heard you have to wear a PSA graded card around your neck like a chain to get in.
I like it.
So I'm working on it. But it's going to be really good. And if you're not able to go to Vegas, point being, pay attention to the Mint Collective on social media, because I believe they're going to be offering, I wouldn't say all of it, but hopefully a good deal of it through live streaming, so that for those who can't make it or can't afford to make it, can at least see some of what's going on there.
And what are you going to be talking about?
Anything and everything from vintage cards, how to invest in cards, how to run a card shop, how to bid in auctions, artificial intelligence and grading. Where's the future of grading? What's the international growth like for the card market? I mean, I can keep going on and on. Like it's like going to college for cards, but in like 3 days. If you can go, you should try. I'm going with, I believe I'm going with Chris and Ken from the office. The rest of the team will be back, kind of supporting the operations, just collecting vintage breaks and making sure we can break. But we are going to be doing some breaking live from there. Drew from Vintage Breaks South and Vintage Breaks Whatnot is going to be out there. So we got a lot of fun stuff going on, Lou.
Excellent. You got to speak about thinning the horde.
Yes. I think that it's something I can talk about well, as I'm, someone who lives it all the time.
We've talked about, and I think we've talked about on the Loft before, about AI in grading cards. I think that's a fascinating subject. It seems like, first of all, it would take a very specialized programming, wouldn't it? And would someone take on that specialization? Plus, it would be very complex.
So I don't pretend to know very much about the inner workings of it, which is part of the reason why I'm looking to go there. This is going to be the challenge. Let's just lay it on the line. You're telling me that I haven't been to Vegas in years, okay? And even though gambling's legal here, just to be clear, I don't gamble that much.
Yep.
Like almost hardly ever online, meaning on my phone.
Yep.
And I do like to gamble in person, just feels different. It's old school. You bet 100 on tonight's game in the morning, Lou. You either have approximately 200 or you got nothing.
Right.
You know.
So no money on the
like,
Rutgers game tonight. Nothing.
You can't bet New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
On Rutgers.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No,
Right.
I would go long. In fact, if anyone out there will place a bet for me, please let me know. Leighton at Just Collect, or if you have my number, text me. I would love to place a wager on Rutgers tonight. I'm just not able to in the state of New Jersey. You know what I mean?
Same here in Massachusetts. I'm going offshore, but yeah, same here in Massachusetts.
Yeah. So that's number 2. Number 3, great places to eat. Not that there's not great places to eat all around me and the city. I mean, New York City. But I still, I mean, Vegas is incredible, right? Like, you know, you can eat a lunch that's out of this world. Number 4 is just, I mean, like, I'm hearing there's a card event. I don't know if it's a trade show or just an event at Hakkasan nightclub. And then I don't know if I've heard correctly, but if Steve Aoki's performing on Friday night, I'm going to talk to my buddy Jason, who knows him, and see if I can score. I'm like, you might see 5 a.m. imagery of me on Instagram. And like, I might either, one of two things is going to happen. I'm going to either fall apart and be a hot mess at the event, or I'm going to just start drinking Red Bull. I don't drink Red Bull.
Oh, God.
I'm going to start drinking Red Bull, and you're going to see me like start having like a twitch or being sporadic. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to go for it, man. I'm excited for the event.
No, let me tell you, if you don't do Red Bull, Las Vegas is not the place to start, right? Not in this trip.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm going to try to live my best life. I encourage everyone out there to do the same. But I think living your best life in Vegas is just simply different than living your best life outside of Vegas.
Yeah.
So
but in
I'm
this
in
case,
training.
It's not staying out there this time, though. We're going to have live streaming. We're going to hear all about it.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, it's part of the reason why we're bringing Chris and Ken, and it's great that Drew's going to be able to join us as well. We're hoping to go live on Whatnot, breaking from the event.
Oh.
We're hoping to go live, just myself and or the gang, you know, meaning Ken and Chris, reporting from different panels. You know, let's see what they allow versus what they don't.
Yeah.
Josh Luber, my buddy, came down to the Philly show. We talked for a few. I know he'll be out there, so maybe he'll talk. You know, the future of culture cards. I know he's very into what's going on there. Congrats to him and the team at Zero Cool. I did just get my package, so thank you from them. I'm going to open that up live with the Vintage Breaks community and Just Collect community in the coming days. So, you know, there's a lot going on in the short term. Some other exciting stuff potentially involving grading we'll talk about potentially as early as next week on the Loft, Lou.
Oh, great.
So make sure you do not miss next Wednesday's episode of Leighton's Loft every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Now today, Lou, we have 3 new set breaks coming live to the site. Very excited about that. We're going to give away a free spot in one of those set breaks. It's going to be a spot. We haven't had this break in some time, and it's only a 100-card break. So you have a pretty good chance, you know, meaning it's not a huge set, pretty good chance of getting one of the major guys. One of the set breaks today that'll be going live in just a little bit at vintagebreaks.com will be a 1955 Topps All-American football set featuring Jim Thorpe, Red Grange, Newt Rockne, the Four Horsemen, many other college football Hall of Famers that eventually became Pro Football Hall of Famers. So look for that shortly after the show starts in just a little bit at youtube.com/vintagebreaks. Folks, if you had a good time today in Leighton's Loft and you enjoy watching our show, please make sure you subscribe so that you'll be notified each and every time we go live. And that'll be more important than ever because I might have a few surprise lives from Leighton's Loft from the Mint Collective in Vegas. I thought you'd like that, Lou. We'll connect offline.
I like that a lot. All right.
Awesome.
Excellent.
So thanks for joining us today, everybody.